Today in r/malicious compliance. If you want it, then you have to carry it the whole way home, okay? Okay, so where I'm from, there's 2 times a year where you can put anything you want to throw out on your front lawn, and it will be picked up, no cost. I don't know if it's just my home state that does this, or if most states or even countries do this. Where I'm living now used to but doesn't anymore, but that's a basic description of what happens. For kids, it's like Christmas because it's common to go to others' trash piles and grab anything you like. One man's trash is another man's treasure, am I right? I've gotten a desk, chair, roller, skates, toys players, a mini trampoline, etc. It's always fun to see what you can find. And now on to the story and the malicious compliance. So when I was 12, my mother sold a lot of our things, and such included, and put anything we couldn't or didn't want to sell in storage while she dragged us all over the country for her book tour. We were homeless, living on the road, and all that. Anyway, when we finally returned to our home state, we moved into a rental house in a city 4 hours from where we used to live. And then the unpacking happened. My mother had sold the family and so stole mine, which I'd purposely kept, and made that the family too. I was understandably pissed, since it wasn't my fault that she'd sold their why'd I have to given up one of the only big items I'd been allowed to keep. Months went by, and then that glorious day when my siblings and I were allowed to wander the nearby streets, looking for hidden treasures. That year, everyone had been transitioning from analog thefts to digital ones, so the streets were filled with analog thefts that were being thrown out. Almost every house had one on their lawn. I took my siblings home after some successful treasure and begged my mother to help me bring one of the thefts home. It would have taken very little effort on her part to get the car and drive it to one of the thefts I had walked to and bring it home. We were both used to some heavy lifting, so between the two of us it would have been a piece of cake and free. But no, she refused. If you want a tip so bad, then you have to carry one back to the house by yourself. It wasn't a challenge or a tone that was in any way positive or encouraging. It was a tone that said, I won't help you, and you can't do it alone, so just give up, with a hint of smugness, waiting for me to dejectedly walk to my room in defeat. No way. Fine. Just make sure to hold the door open for me when I get back so I can get it inside. I turned and left, determined to prove her wrong. Yee, sure you will, she had replied sarcastically. So I went front lawn to front lawn looking for a good tip. There were many that were way too big to carry and other that didn't have any good way for on singular person to grip them, and would slip when I tried to pick them up. Eventually, though, about 2 blocks from our house, I found a still relatively large with 2 grip holes, and was square enough for me to pick up. I lugged that thing, arms protesting and back-itching, the whole way home, and set it down right in front of the door. Knock, knock, knock. Mom, come hold the front door open for me. The look on her face was priceless. She just stood there, dumbfounded, before I reminded her that I'd only done what she told me to do. I brought that baby inside and placed it on my stand, where I proceeded to hook up my player and give my mother a shit-eating grin when it turned on. I had that too for years, until I eventually had to put it out on my own front lawn when I got a digital of my own. The funny thing about this, though, is that the had to be moved a couple of times while I owned it, moving house and the like, and I couldn't lift it again. It was too heavy, and even with my mother helping, we both struggled to get it out of the house. Yet 12-year-old me had managed to lift it all by herself. The desire to maliciously complete and spite my mother gave me a momentary burst of super strength in order to accomplish my task. I still look back and laugh at how my stubbornness and spite empowered me like that. Edit. And it's official. This post about my spiteful younger self's badass malicious compliance is now my top post. Was not expecting that. This next one is entitled Sign off under my name when on vacation. I'll report you to Congress. Not my story, but a family member's from when he worked for the Food and Drug Administration. So details may be a little fuzzy. Also, first time posting. Not entirely sure if it fits tilde at the bottom. A while ago, he knew a guy who we'll call Rick back when they worked for the FDA. At the time, and maybe still today, who knows, the FDA had a policy that whoever approved a drug application, which were all hard copies at the time, needed to manually sign off on them, the application to ensure they knew what they were doing. Otherwise, it was the kind of violation that other, much nastier parts of the government would immediately get involved in. If anyone is wondering why this was such a big deal, look up Francis Kelsey and the whole thalidomide crisis. One day Rick gets an application on his desk, but it doesn't even follow the proper application procedures, so there's absolutely no way he can approve it. It's his last day before vacation, so he decides to leave it and formally reject it once he's back. A week or two later, Rick gets back from vacation to find out that, much to his surprise, application has been approved, ostensibly by him. Now, obviously this is impossible, so he does some digging and asks around, only to find out that his own boss has approved it for some reason, but didn't manually sign off on it. He takes the hard copy application to his boss' office and requests to know why the boss approved it under his name when it wasn't even filled out correctly. Boss is evasive and refuses to give a proper answer, and basically laws Rick off when Rick tries to tell him that he's not on board with a clearly incorrect application getting approved under his name. Now Rick is a good employee, and so of course he's obliged to follow the rules. The rules say that because the boss never manually signed off, this needs to be reported. But Rick is also a nice guy, and he doesn't want to report his boss and get him in trouble without giving his boss a chance to fix it without getting investigated for the serious violation it is, even though this is only the latest incident in a history of his boss not appreciating Rick's expertise. So Rick decides to send an email to his bosses. In fact, he sends an email to his entire department informing them of his boss' mistake kindly, letting them know that as per the rules, he will be informing Congress, that Congress of the violation, as the rules actually state he should do. Is it overkill? Probably. But the drug application is immediately rescinded, and Rick's boss gets rapidly hustled into a meeting with all his bosses. This isn't the first time Rick's been treated poorly despite being a valuable employee, so he retires a week later and, due to the FDA's retirement policies, gets government health insurance and a stipend for the rest of his life because of how long he's worked for them. Boss was retired fairly soon after as well, but without the benefits, if you know what I mean. Tilde Boss approves unapprovable drug application under Rick's name while Rick is on vacation. Rick lets his whole department know that he's supposed to tell Congress about his boss' decision, and said decision is very quickly undone. This next one is entitled Need Proof I'm Sick. Sure. Over the last several months, I have been sick twice. Once I was out of work for 4 days due to an awful bout of food poisoning, which may be the worst I have ever felt, and most recently I was out of work for a day about a month ago due to what I believe was a stomach bug. Upon returning to work, I was told by my supervisor that she is going to need to see more proof that I'm actually sick and not just taking time off for the hell of it. Now, I'm sure I'm not the best worker she has ever had, but I pride myself on never missing a day, unless I'm in awful shape, and I hardly ever take vacation, and I feel extremely guilty whenever I am out of the office. Fast forward to 2 days ago. Not sure what happened, but I went from feeling completely normal to vomiting uncontrollably in a matter of 30 minutes. The vomiting and other fun excrements continued for the rest of the night. My first thought was, fuck, I'm not going to be able to work tomorrow, and how am I going to prove how sick I'm again? This is when I thanked God for my trusty new phone. I pulled up the camera and turned on the video feature and recorded myself vomiting for about 5 minutes before looking at the camera and saying, "Supervisor's name, I won't be coming in tomorrow. Hope this is good enough proof of how crap I feel. I'm back in work today." And she said she no longer needs proof that I'm ill. Edit. Your standard did not expect this to blow up post. Thanks for all the love. For all those saying I should go to the emergency room. You either still on your parents' health care plan or don't live in America. I'm not a woman, so there is very little chance I'm pregnant. Regretting not using the new Slofe feature on the iPhone. Back at work now and feeling much better. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, smash the bell, and whatever else our YouTube overlords require nowadays.